We're going to create a drawing for problem 115. And if you look at 115, the first thing you notice that's different is that we now have angles. We have an angle of 45 degrees. But we also have a problem. We have this line here, and we don't know how long this line is. We know that it's 3.25 inches away from this base point, but that's really the only information we have about it. We don't have its length. So let's see how we go about doing this, and let's see how AutoCAD gives you the tools to easily create this. I'm going to start this drawing right here at this point, and I'm going to work my way around counterclockwise and show you how to create this drawing. So we're going to start by making essentially a C. So we're going to go 3.25 inches to the left, 3 inches up, 2.25 inches to the left, 3 inches up, and 2.25 inches to the right. So we'll start here, 2.25 inches to the left, 3 inches up, and 2.25 inches to the right. Now you should have had your polar tracking on in order to get tracking at 0 degrees, 90, 180, 360, so that you would see those green tracking lines in order to be able to draw this easily. And what we're going to do next is we're going to use the copy feature. We know that this line is 3.25 inches away from here. So let's just take this line, make a copy of it, and move it over by 3.25 inches. So we're going to come over here, click on the line to select it. If we click on the line a second time, we actually turn it into a move. Right now I'm moving the line. I don't want to move it. I mean, I could, for instance, move it over here, which is wrong. Let me undo that. So I click on it the first time, click on it the second time. I start the move. But when I do this, if you look down here on the text box, you see it says B for base point, C for copy, U for undo, and X for exit. If I type C for copy, I go into the copy mode. And now that I'm in the copy mode, I have the green tracking line. All I have to do is type 3.25, and I just placed a copy of that line 3.25 inches away from the original line. Now, if I wanted to place another copy, I'm ready to have this line here. I can place another copy. I don't need another copy, so I can just hit escape. So now we have to put in diagonal lines from here at 45 degrees. Well, let's look at our polar tracking, which is over here. Our polar tracking is on. Check your angles and make sure your angles are set so that you're set for 45, 90, 135, 180, etc. And what that will do is give you a green tracking line every 45 degrees. Now, if you're still like this, you still have this selected. You still have this line selected. So you have to hit escape one more time to come back to having nothing selected. So now we're ready to move forward. I'm going to click line, come over here and click on this, and you see there's my tracking line at 0, there's my tracking line at 180, and then in the middle I have a tracking line at 45. So I can come down here, and there's my intersection point. If you don't get this intersection point, you need to have this turned on, snap to 2D reference points, and intersection should be selected. If it's not, you'll have to turn that on. Start this again. Click on this. I get my tracking line, my intersection, I hit return. I get my tracking line, my intersection. I'm sorry, I said I hit return. You don't hit return, you hit the mouse button. And then afterwards I hit escape. Okay, so now this is done, except these lines are too long. So this brings up another new feature we need to talk about, which is stretch and lengthen. So after you select something, if you hover over the ends, you're allowed to either stretch or lengthen. So what's the difference between the two? So stretch allows you to change the angle. Lengthen changes the angle only. Actually, it doesn't. Does it? It doesn't change the angle at all. So you sort of see this tracking line, but if you notice, the line only goes up. So even though I show a tracking line over here, if I click on this, all I did is make that a little bit longer. So lengthen does not change the angle of this line at all. It just makes it longer or shorter. So what we want to do here is we want to lengthen. And I know this sounds wrong, but we want to essentially lengthen in the negative sense. So we select lengthen, and then we bring it back to the intersection. And once we get to the intersection, we hit the mouse button. And then we do the same thing over here. Now, because this is so close to the midpoint, it might give us a little bit of a problem. So the easiest way to do it is to do it twice. If I move this in partway, then the midpoint changes. The midpoint is now over there. It's out of the way. So I can do it a second time and now move it right to the intersection. So now we've created the outside box, and that really was quite easy. And if I didn't have to describe what I was doing, I could probably do it in less than a minute. So the next thing we need to do is create the H in the middle. Now we see that the offset for this corner is 0.75 in the Y and it's 0.75 in the X. So again, we're going to use a snap from that we learned about last week. So we come over here and we type line snap from. We click over here and then I type 0.75. And I needed to type at, and I didn't do it, so I'm going to hit escape and start over. Line snap from. I click on my base point, and then I type at 0.75 comma 0.75, enter. I can start drawing the H. So we need to go up by, let's see, 0.75 to 2.5, so it's 1.5, and then all these boxes are 0.5. So go 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, 1.5. Okay. We come back here, we go up by 1.5, enter. 0.5. Into 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 1.5. 0.5. 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, and then we complete the H in the center. And finally, we save this. And this was what? This was drawing 1-15. And again, as a reminder, if you need to check any of your dimensions, you can use the measure tool here. And so we could check, say this, we could see it's 2.25, we could check this 3.0, we could check any dimension we wanted, and we could actually even check the dimension we didn't know from here, which is from here to there, here to there, which is actually 1 inch.